Now, more on today's bombshell revelation that the Palisades Fire was started by a much smaller fire that burned the week before.
KCAL News reporter Tom Waite joins us now. And Tom, you spoke with one of the country's top wildfire experts about how these so-called holdover fires happen.
Right, because when we talk about this, all of us are kind of like, how is this possible, right? So we started looking for the top experts to kind of break it down for us and for our viewers at home. Yeah, it's hard to wrap your mind around how a fire could burn for days without being detected, but the wildfire expert we spoke with says the phenomenon is real, and even the most experienced fire crews and sophisticated imaging equipment may miss them. In the ash and ruins of the Palisades, it's been a search for answers. Investigators are now revealing the fire that wiped out one of LA's most iconic communities was burning for a week, simmering underground, waiting to explode.
What's called ground fire, where it's burning the roots and organic material under the surface.
Professor Craig Clements is one of California's top fire, weather, and behavior experts.
What happens is a surface fire, which is typically what we see burning in the grass and shrubs, that can get put out by firefighters, and it's fully contained, and so everything on the surface has been extinguished. But it can actually burn into the root system and burn underground where you would not see any smoke. And it can continue to smolder there for multiple days before, a big wind event could then, add more oxygen and cause the fire to reignite and then bring it back to the surface.
Detecting these fires can be very difficult.
Potentially, you could use some infrared cameras at the surface, but again, they only see the surface. And depending on how deep that area is, it's, smoldering, it may be hard to detect even with infrared imagery and imaging systems.
For victims of the Palisades Fire, Wednesday's developments are a lot to process. Chuck Peel was among those who lost his home. We first spoke with him in late January when residents were allowed back inside the fire zone to sift through the ruins. Peel says he's still trying to make sense of how the fire could have smoldered for so long before turning into a raging inferno.
Maybe over time that was there, and all it needed was the other remaining element of a fire, which is wind. I'm not a fireman, I don't do any of that, but it comes, with everybody, so much focus on that fire, I just find it hard that it wasn't picked up somewhere, somehow through all of the sources, and that's not a blame game. That's not at all. But that is a very, you couldn't create that scenario, even in a lab, I don't think.
A slew of lawsuits have been filed against the city, county, state, and other agencies. James Franz is the CEO of Franz Law Group, representing 1,600 Palisades Fire victims. We asked how today's news will impact his legal strategy. He says not really, because he claims there is plenty of blame to go around.
It rekindled, but we weren't actually we're not really buying into that theory either necessarily. And they caught the arsonist. But that really doesn't have a lot of bearing in our analysis here, because there's so many other factors that led to this fire.
Another so-called holdover fire happened in the Oakland Hills back in 1991. You might remember that. That's when 25 people died, 150 people were injured, and almost 3,000 homes were destroyed. The fire started on October Day, and then actually a day before, and then firefighters thought they had it out, but it was still burning underground. Rudabeh?